Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. My name is Jade, and this is How to App on iOS. And today, we're going to get dirty. We're going to destroy sound with
iHeart New York #2.
It's a parallel compressor. Boom. So we're going to just destroy some sound. But before we destroy some sound, let's embrace some beautiful sound. By SuperChats and his band No Emus. This is just released Hope. Hello. What am I doing? I got buttons pressed wrong. There's a link. Size put it in the chat. Go and click it. Go and buy it. It's $1, man. Go and buy it. It's wicked. So he just premiered that track about an hour ago. Great job, Sai. Sai, sneaky devil. I spoke to him in Clubhouse only the day before and was like, so what have you been doing musically? Oh, nothing. Boom! Then he drops this out of the blue. Sneaky squirrel. Squirrel? What's going on? I'm Jade. This is How to App on iOS. Welcome aboard, everybody. We're going to get a lot noisier than that today, but there it is. There's a pinned comment. If you're watching on the replay in the chat, go and subscribe to Noema's size musical endeavor and go and buy it. It's a pound, man. It's a pound. What are you doing? I haven't bought it yet. What am I talking about? I was meant to do it last night. So there you go. And go over the channel, go listen to it again, hit the like, do all that stuff. Alrighty. Welcome also to those of you who choose to be
Wart Warriors.
For $1 a month, you can become a Wart Warrior here and support the channel and get some little funky emojis with your own face if you send them in to me. If you haven't sent me an emoji, go over to the community tab and there's some instructions. All you got to do is send me a photo of your face in a square and I'll try and remove the background and I'll turn you into an emoji. My email's over on the website, on the YouTube, Jade at DreadCircus.com. Send me your image if you're a Wart warrior so I can add you to the list, which I try and change every day. Yeah, so thank you to those. And let's say hello to you all. Then I've got an announcement to make, and then we'll get into this app. I've got a funny announcement to make, actually. So hello, Frank Terzo. Hello, SM Borthwick. Hello, Leela, one of the cool mods from the Mod Squad. Yeah. Ed B. Metal, Joe Glenn, Thomas Christ, the man, the legend, not the myth, because we know he's real. And who else? Sai, obviously. Well, Falcro, just send me, see that picture that's in your profile there with your hat on? Just send me that and I'll turn it into an emoji. Just send me a picture, just send me a picture of your face and I'll turn it into an emoji if you're a Wart Warrior. Guzzo's here. Veronica too. And here comes Jughead. Falcro's here. Hello, Falcro. Thanks for joining. Tremor Bear, I see down the bottom. Cold Acres here. Cold Fish. Who else? I think I've got most of the people up the top of the chat. Scroll back down. Tremor Bear, hello to you. There's the bear. The bear's in there. Sean Chandler's here as well. So thank you all for joining me today. If I've missed you, call me a dickhead in the chat. Or just call me a dickhead in the chat if you want to. All right? I don't care. So I've got a little bit of an announcement. Now, yesterday on the show, you were all so kind to allow me to dump you over to Joe and Barry Glenn's brand new video. But while I was watching that video, my spidey senses were tingling. I was like, what? There's something weird about this video. This song, the music to this video, it's all wrong. There's something wrong. Because I'm sure I mastered this song and the levels were much louder. So I messaged Joe after the premiere and said, Joe, did you add the right track to that video? Because while that was playing, I went and checked that music on Apple Music and it's a lot louder. And she said, no. Oh, fuck no, she said. Fuck no. Are you questioning me? Haven't you heard my music? I murder people. And I was like, oh, I'm not sure, Joe. You And it turns out that she unfortunately added, and it happens to the best of us, she added the unmastered track to the video. So 10 minutes before the end of the show, I'm going to finish early today. And I'm going to dump you all back over to Joe's channel to go and watch the video again and help her get those likes and views back up if you would kindly do so. Because we all make mistakes. And this is what being in the community
Boom.
is all about. And the deal is, I've made a deal with Joe. All she needs to do in the chat during the premiere is she has to confirm to everybody in the chat the body count, how many people died in the song. And that's the deal we've made. So I will bounce you all, I'll dump you all over there to go and listen to it in its mastered form because it's it sounds much bigger and bolder and brighter when it's fully mastered. So if you will indulge me, I will be ever so grateful. It is what it is, man. These things happen, you know. All right, let's get on with the show. Before we do, just one last mention I need to tell you. Tomorrow, we have our special Wart series on tomorrow. So hopefully you can all come and join us for that. It is the same time as this show, but tomorrow we have Valerie Bart, Kim Hudson, Reality, Laurie's Mishmosh. And ladies, I'll send out the link today and confirm the link to come and join the show. And it's going to be awesome. We're going to talk about sexism. We're not attacking anybody in this. This is not a political thing. This is not anything that you know, we're going to make people feel like shit, because we have a great community here. But we want to talk about the experiences that women have as artists and have to deal with, you know, messages like show Bob and Virgin and all that stuff. So we'll talk about that tomorrow. Anyway, that is happening tomorrow. Alrighty, let's go to this. Price drops. Are there any price drops? Nothing really changed from yesterday. Jam Up, Beat Hawk, Ravenscroft. There's a whole bunch of great apps on sale at the moment. If you want to go and check them out, there's a heap of them that are on sale. There's a link always in the description to App Sliced here, which you can go and click on. It tells you each day the price drops that are happening. But today we are looking at parallel compression. And what is parallel compression? You ask, I hear in the distance. What is parallel compression? Well, guess what? Most of you are still probably grappling with compression just by itself. And parallel compression, it was probably going to fuck your brain up even worse. Or maybe it won't. But we're looking at IHNY-2 from Baby Audio. And this app is free to download. It is free, but wait, there is an in-app purchase. And it is free, and you do get a fair bit of functionality out of it. Enough to use to do some parallel compression. A lot of parallel compression. But it has an in-app purchase of about $20 USD. And once you buy that, it opens up a huge amount of presets and some really fine-tuning features, which really up at a level beyond. So there's your price. You can download it now. There is a link in the description to go and download it if you'd like. And then it's up to you to decide if parallel compression is your thing. But what is parallel compression? What's normal compression? Well, compression, let's talk about that. Normal compression is when you take a music file, a piece of music, a WAV file, and you set a threshold for a certain level of that music, so a certain decibel of that music. And once the music hits that threshold, then that music is compressed. And the lower signals come up to meet the higher peaks of the transients that are pushed down, and you get a more squashed sound, taking out a lot of the dynamics. So you've got light compression, and you can crush the shit out of stuff. So it is absolutely squashed and has nowhere to breathe. But parallel compression is a little bit different than that. And here's a little bit of history about parallel compression, otherwise known as New York compression. So it's a dynamic range compression technique used in sound recording and mixing. So a lot of this, the 80s, very popular with parallel compression, where basically you take two signal inputs, one signal, say a drum signal, and then and you leave that completely clean, yeah? Just a clean drum signal with no compression. And then you take another exact copy of that wave file, of that drum beat, and you squash the absolute crap out of it. You compress it so much it is just noise. It is just bleh. And then you bring a balance up of the compressed file and mix that in with the original signal, and you'll see how that sounds. And the technique for this for the longest time was exactly what I said, to have two tracks, the dry signal and then the exact same sound on a second track, mixed in with your clean signal and the compressed one, just mixing in to balance them together to create parallel two compressions. But what this app does is it does it all in one app. So you only need one track of the drum file, of the whatever it is, the guitar, music, vocal, and this gives you the ability to balance out a clean signal with a compressed signal. Make sense? Shall we have a look at what it does? Because this thing's pretty fantastic. You know, I'm sure back in the 80s when people were doing parallel compression and going, wow, this sounds incredible, they were like, I wish we could all do it just with one thing instead of having multiple tracks. But now in this day and age where we live in the future with this amazing software and hardware like iPads and computers, we can do all this magic stuff. So I have an instance of AUM from a show last week. Was it last week? Where I took a look at this app, iVox, and I opened the show with just this silly little piece of music that I made. And I'm just going to play this again. But this time you can see here I've got instances of IHNY. And why is it called IHNY? I Heart New York. New York compression, man. So that is the meaning behind the name. So we're going to play this. I'm going to solo each track and bring them in and show you what this compression does. So let's hit play. We've got a drum beat here. So you can probably hear what it's doing there. We've still got the original signal coming through with all those transients, those goodness of those transients. But underneath there, we've got this ultra compressed, exact same signal that's giving the effect of like almost like a reverby kind of noise kind of stuff. So you can hear that when I stop it. You can hear that compression tailing out there. So there's a drum. What's going on? What is that sound? Let's try with this one. Wow, big difference there. Let's skip over this one. What's going on here? This is a bass track. Now that's a fart. So the other thing about this compressor is not only is it just a very, you can use it as a basic compressor, it is also very much a colorization tool. So you can color the sound. There's a saturation tool in there. You can really bring out the transients and dynamics. So it's coloration on top of compression. So listen to this bass. And if you have a look, I don't even have this like peaked out or anything here. Let's just bring it all in. You should be hearing some lovely stereo panning there. Now let's pull them all out. It's like just loses all that energy. Oh, I'm starting to feel sick. Side to side, stop. Let's clear this out. We don't need this anymore. Goodbye to you. All right, so I'm going to just open a basic drum track now, and we'll have a look at what it does with this. So just a simple drum track. And we'll run through the controls, yeah? Okay, let's have a look at this interface and tell you how it all works and what everything does. All right, so we'll start over here from the top left-hand corner. This is a solo button. And you'll notice when I click it, the little button in the middle, the little dot, goes all the way up to the top. And what that's doing is, once I unsolo that, let's look at the crosshairs now. So we've got this dot which I can move around with my finger. As you can see here, moving it around with my finger. When you pull it all the way down, it's the dry mix. That is your just complete dry mix. There's nothing at all. When you take it all the way up to the top, that is 100% wet. And you can see that by just above where the dot is, you can see that number changing to wet. And now down to 0, and down the bottom it says dry. So that is how much compression, how much dry and how much wet. In the middle, obviously, is a center balance. And left and right, when we're down here, we have no compression. And when we turn it all the way up, we have the full amount. And the way this works, so this is what you get for the free download. You just get this, and you can move this around. So there's enough within this. If we hit play, let me tweak this a second. So that's what you get with the free version. The ability to play around with that and add your compression. Now, there is an algorithm built into this with this dot here in this whole target in the center. As we are moving it from left to right and turning up the compressor, that is determining the threshold at which the compression kicks in. What it is also doing is using its AI algorithm to add auto gain onto the, and what it does is, as it turns it up, it's intelligently, as you add a higher amount of compression and that threshold comes down, right? Allowing those transients to be pushed down as you go higher over. It is the auto gain is balancing out, so you'll never like go over and peak. It's you intelligently keeping it at a level that's okay, and at the same time it's able to crush the sound and get that super compressed sound, like you can hear right now, crushed. Okay, so another little handy thing here, you've got this little eye up here, and when you've got that clicked, whatever you touch, it will tell you what's going on. So you can see up the top, there's this little piece of information that appears, sets the compression amount and wet and dry balance. If you click on a tweak or anything like this down here, sets how fast the compressor engages when wet. So you've got this little information thing that constantly tells you what's happening. Nice. Here's where all your presets are. This is what you get when you pay the $20 in-app purchase. And let me tell you, there are some presets. There's a lot of presets in here. And why are these fantastic? Because if you're still like going, my brain hurts with compression, these are a really great place to start. They're broken up into categories of drums, general purpose, bass, guitar, synth keys, vocals, mix master bus, other, and vintage models. So you can start here and then play around with your all of the other features, the tweaks, and your little target in the center, and get to a place that sounds right and maybe start to understand. So it's a good way to learn compression at the same time, yeah? Also, we have this little button here, which I'm trying not to touch. Trying not to touch. Because when I click that, what this does is, if you like a sound that you have, hello Andy, I hope you're well. If you have hi Kim as well, there's Kim Harden Hudson who's coming on the show tomorrow as well. Is there anyone else I've missed? Don't think so. If you are in the chat and not said hello, hello to you hiding in the shadows. In the shadows. All right. So this, as I was saying, this little lock button here, if you create a compression sound that you like, and you'd like to, every time you open the app, it goes directly to that, click this little lock button and it will save it as the default. So every time you open it, that's where it'll go. And this here is a reset to default. So whatever you have set that default to next door can be reset like that. So it'll always go back. Rat hiding, always hiding in the shadows. Boom. So those are your little controls down the bottom. Let's close this out. You have an auto gain as well. So if you're playing down here, and as we've discussed, the algorithm adds auto gain. But down the bottom here, you also have your own auto gain to take control of it, boost it up. If it's getting a bit wild, you can do that. Plus you have an output here to decide how much output is happening. All right, let's reset this. Let's talk about the bottom part here. This is where people get confused with compression. And we're going to try and cover this as well as possible so you'll understand. Because, hey, I don't have all the answers either. Compression still baffles me sometimes, and I often have to go back and watch a video to remind me, what? What's happening? So just remember, but with this app in particular, the main purpose of it is for this parallel compression. And it's kind of sort of encouraged to squash the shit out of sounds to create that New York parallel compression sound. Now, I really love these little controls down here that they do make it like kind of cute and easy to understand. Here we have our attack and our release. So this is where we determine, once you set the threshold here in your little pad, once you set your threshold, so we set our threshold over here, the attack and release is where we decide how fast the compression comes in. All right. So if I take this, and you'll notice if I zoom in, see the little triangles down here? See how when I hold over, these little triangles light up, or this little circle and these light up? That lets you know that you're hovering over a certain part, and you can mess with this. So let's go back to our attack and release. So at the moment, we have our attack set to 23 milliseconds. So basically, it's taking 23 milliseconds for the compression to kick in once it hits the threshold that is set here, right? So we have a little bit of a delay for it to kick in. Now, if we pull this back, see, so you can pull this all the way back, we have a 1 millisecond chance of this kicking in. And you can see what that does. When we turn this down to the dry mix, it destroys the absolute shit out of it, because that compression's kicking in, bang, so fast. Now the release is how long it takes for the compression to end, the tail of the compression. So if we bring this all the way in, so it releases in 5, which is the minimum, you can hear transients have been utterly destroyed. So our kick and our snare, they've been utterly decimated. There's no time to be able to hit the transients of the kick and the snare, kick and the snare. And this is where you can decide. Now, if we hit play again and push this release all the way out, whoops, let me get on the right triangle. Now you'll hear it's a lot softer, even though we have this compression on, because the compressor is kicking in at 1 millisecond, but the tail is so long that it's unable to catch up to kick in again. So we've lost, it's dropped heaps. So we need to find is a happy medium. And this is where you move your slider around. And we have an extreme compression set here, yeah? You're not going to be doing this. This is just so you can hear what's going on. So I'm going to just take this attack and just bring it in about 26 milliseconds. And you can hear already those transients are back. That kick and that snare's back. So now what we want to do is take the release. We want to bring this in. So we're still compressing, but we're able to hear more of those transients. Okay, let's talk about the next section here. So the next section is our ratio. So how much it is our peaks being squashed down so everything else can raise up. So if you've used compression before, you would have seen like on GarageBand or anything, you've got a ratio 12:1. So the lowest this goes down is a 2:1. Pretty low compression, yeah? And as the higher you go, say 5:1, then you're gonna like squash this further down by an amount of dB. So the higher we go here, say the maximum is 20. You listen how crushed this is now. So that is limited so much, and the representation, you can see how much this is being crushed. Watch the light in the middle. Watch the light in the middle when we hit play. So we'll bring this down, all the way down to the dry. And you can see with each hit, the circle gets smaller, showing the velocity within the waveform, yeah? See how it shrinks and then gets bigger? But now watch when I add the compression, how it just turns basically into a solid circle. So the higher peaks have been brought down, and the lower sounds, look at it, it's just a solid blob pumping now. And that is why they call it pumping. Right, so there we go. So that is squashed and pumping like a motherfucker. Let's now we've pulled out. We've set the attack really low, set the release really low, and again all those transients are gone, and it's a really dirty sound. But with parallel compression and things like dance music, disco music, this is where this sound it could work for us really well. It's encouraged to do this because now we can mix this in with the original signal. So we can mix this in and get a desired effect. But wait, there's more. So we have some more interesting features down here, which are really going to now color and shape and do some really interesting things by bypassing the compressor and such. The next one we're going to look at is punch. Now, the punch helps to really bring out the transients and give them a bit of life. And it's subtle. You may not even hear it. Because not everything has to be extreme. Remember, the more I have this up the top here, the more I'm just pushing it so you can hear the differences. These shows are always hard to do because compressors, they can be quite boring. You know what I'm saying? There you go. All right, let's talk about the next thing here. Take out this punch. Now, the rest of these are colorization. So this one is harmonics. And the more the compression you have in here, this is a saturator. So this seeks out the compressed sound, anything that's over that threshold, and it adds a saturator to it. You ready? Let's hit play. Bring this down. So you can hear that dirt now in there. Cool. So that you've got a saturator there that seeks out, as I said, it seeks out the sound and it adds a bit of grit to it. It makes it sound really filthy. Works great on bass. Masterful on bass. Really nice on drums when you're mixing it in with the dry signal. Then we have, next door to that, we have the shape. And this is used with New York compression. And as you see, when I push it up, it turns into a smiley face. Why does it do that? Why does it do that? Let me explain to you quickly by opening up something here. Let's open up, say, tone boosters, EQ. So basically what this is doing, here's an EQ. It is doing this. Boom, boom, and boom. It is making a smile. Right? So it's bringing up the highs, it's bringing up the lows, and it's scooping out the guts. It's scooping out the middle. And that's what this little thing here is doing. Because back in the day, you would have to add a compressor, squash the shit out of it, then add an EQ and create this setting, this smile setting down the bottom here. Yep. And you'll hear the difference. Let's play it again and but the way this section here, this shape works, is it actually doesn't affect the compressor. So this is affecting the dry sound. It has no effect over the compressor whatsoever. So you still got all that squash sound, but this is just shaping that sound to give you this nice pump up in the lows, pump up in the highs, and a scoop out the middle at the mids. The next one along here, this is our tilt. And when I turn it up this way and tilt it up, you're going to hear a difference in the highs or a difference in the lows. This is tilting, it's putting emphasis over either to the high end or to the low end. Now this particular one, this is connected to the compression. So this takes the compressed sound that's been controlled by the compressor with your attack, your release, the amount of compression, and this takes that and it tries to, you can balance out some of the bass or highs if need be. So you can hear there the highs. So So why is that there? Because you may notice within your beat or whatever it is that you're messing around with, you want to get some kind of balance there with the amount of compression on the low end or the high end. Now the last thing here, this is really magic. So this has no effect on the compression. What this does is it allows you, so you've got a low preserve and a high preserve on each side. If I take this low preserve down, this allows the low end to not be compressed. It sneaks the low end of your sound to avoid the compression. And you can hear this really well with bass, even with drums here. So listen for the kick drum here, and listen when I pull this down, you'll almost hear like this more solid sounding bass because it's removing, and you can see how many hertz. So I can take out up to 150 hertz of the low end, and that will not now be affected by the compressor. And the same over this end with the high end. So that sound we've got now is absolutely smashed, squashed, crushed, destroyed. And this is where it comes in with parallel compression, because we can now mix this in up here and try and get a desired sound, so you can still hear that in the mix, but it's just an additional sound, a colorization to the main kit. Because we don't want that. So there you go. There is the explanation of how it works. I hope that makes sense. And the thing to do is to mess around and have fun and create things. As I said, you've got a whole lot of amazing presets in here. If we go to our drums, let's just grab this breakbeat splice. And again, you don't have to use this as a parallel compressor. You can use this as a clean compressor and be as light as possible and just do very light compression. What's going on? Mamsy. What's going on? JDL, I hope you're doing good, my friend. So there's many ways that you can use this. And as I said, there are so many presets in here. Let's just flick through some, give it some volume. You got synth ones, general purpose stuff. There you go, that one's brought out the highs. As you can see, there's a mix there. That's the compressed sound. There's your dry mix. And you just find that place where it sounds right to you. There are no rules with parallel compression. It's got to sound right for you, yeah? Makes sense? Makes sense? We sound doing okay? All right, so let's close this out. And to finish off, remember I've only got about 6 minutes to go before we're heading over to Joe and Barry Glenn's second premiere. So quickly I'm going to open up a project of mine in GarageBand. Something from my album, The World's Gone Mad. The World Has Gone Mad. This is a song from my DreadCircus album. And we'll add it to a few things and see what it does. Just to some separate instruments just for fun, yeah? I'll play it for a bit, for a couple of minutes, and then we'll quickly add some compression on to the snare maybe, and to the bass, because we've listened to drums here, and maybe onto the acoustic. There's a lot going on in this song. There's a lot of parts. Okay, let's mess around with that snare. I want to see if I can get that snare to pop. Hear it? It's really... It's there, but it's just, it's buried. It's not jumping out at me, man. It's not telling me I'm a snare and I'm ready to do something that rhymes with snare. It's right. So I have an instance of IHNY here, and I've got a preset attached already. Let me do this. Have a little fiddle. And I'm going to turn this on and let's see what it does. Let's see if we can make it pop. Ooh. Geez, that's big. Holy shit, what a difference. We can go in there and probably don't need that much dirt on there. So that's pretty dirty. Here we go. That's nice. That's nice. So now I'm able to lower that in the mix and hear it cutting through. Nice. Let's mess around with this bass for a second. So I've got an instance here. We'll solo this. We've got some bass presets here. We'll start with that. Because I don't want to give it too much. I just want it to stand out a bit more. I know we're going to go. Just two very quick things have just given that bass a little bit of life, and that snare's just popping a little bit more. You don't need to add compression to every single fucking track. So this is a really neat app. Really great for dance music, disco, all that kind of stuff. Go download it for free. Have a play with it yourself. If you like the in-app purchase, go grab it. Remember, apps aren't Pokemon. You don't need them all. Don't catch them all if you don't need them. We're going to get out of here because Joe and Barry Glenn's premiere part 2 is starting right now. Hey, if you like what you saw today, hit the like on the way out. Please, helps me, helps the channel, all that jazz. If you're watching on a replay or anything like that and you haven't hit subscribe, it's free. Do it. Helps out. Tomorrow we have the Wartsy series talking about sexism with 4 of my favorite ladies, yeah? So I'm going to dump you over to Joe and Barry Glenn's show now. And don't forget, also straight after, Thomas Christ is doing You Rock. So make sure you click that link, which Thomas has just put in the chat, this one here. So you've got that in another window ready to go. And we'll all head over to Joe's and listen to this mastered version of this track. Boom. Remember, folks, do the things that make you happy. Mistakes make you better. And you know what? We'll all rise together. And I'll see you over at Joe and Barry Glenn's. And then I'll see you over at Thomas's. Have a great day, everybody. See you later.